everyone, how's it going? Sorry I'm late getting this video over to you. We've kind of been running around like crazy today, so I'm finally getting it. This is the king size bed. This is what we're working on, and that's the Barnwood look. And like I said, in person it truly looks just like Barnwood. It's the coolest thing ever. What I did is I applied a black chalk paint to the bed first, just because it kind of acts as a primer, gives the top coat something to stick to. And if you just take this regular paint, this regular white paint, and you brush over a shiny surface, it's not going to stick. So applying the black chalk paint first helped give this bed kind of, you know, whenever I distress it, the black will show through and then the white will stick to it better, and I won't have to worry about the paint chipping off. So I had the king bed, applied the black chalk paint, grabbed up a sample of Sherwin-Williams Snowbound white paint, and the samples run $5 to $7, super cheap. They go very far. I'll paint this whole bed and still have like half the jug left. After that, I let 2 coats of the white dry, and now we're just gonna go back and apply the black glaze. And this is the black glaze. I get General Finishes Pitch Black. I got it from Amazon. I want to say it was about $30, but I haven't even hardly touched it. And so I know I'll be using this for multiple projects, so it's definitely worth the investment. Then I have some wiping cloths. Those you can get from Lowe's or Home Depot for like $3 a package. Foam brush, bristle brush, you can use either one of these, but I'm actually going to use the bristle brush because it's going to give me the look that I want. And then I have 2 sanding blocks, one 60 grit and one 80 grit. So let's get started. Okay, so I have a 5-year-old who lost my gloves, but you should seriously wear gloves when you're doing this because this black glaze will get everywhere when you're wiping it off. So what I do is I just dip the brush in, and I try not to leave too much on there just because it goes on so heavy. But in these squares right here, I'm wanting it to be darker than the rest of it. So I'm just going to apply this on there. So as you can see, I'm just applying it on. Sorry guys, I'm doing this one-handed. I don't have a video assistant. Maybe that's what I should hire next. So you just keep going like this, get an even coat right there. And then we have high winds today, so that doesn't help. It's going to dry it a lot faster than I want it to. And General Finishes also makes an extender that you can pour into it, and that kind of extends the dry time so you can work with it for a little bit longer. Not really necessary for me because I'm going to be sanding on it, so not completely necessary. So I'm going to get this applied on there in an even coat. And once I'm finished, all I'm going to do is go back with a cloth and wipe this right back off. And the best part is if you put too much, all you have to do is just sand it back off. The sanding block is great, and it takes most of this right back off. Okay, so while it's wet, I only let it sit for a second, and then I go back and in an even wipe, just wipe all of this back off. Like I said, I would wear gloves, but my 5-year-old lost them. Okay, so we have most of it wiped off. And like I said, you can continue to wipe and just take off as much as you'd like. So see, it's pretty easy to work with. Comes off fairly well. And then while it's wet, because I kind of like to work with it while it's wet so it doesn't just completely stick and not come off, I'll take my sanding block here, and this one's the 80 grit. I think 60 or 80 is more than enough. You don't want to scuff it up too rough, but you also don't want something so soft that it doesn't work. So you just take this on there. See how easy it just comes right off. The key is catching the glaze while it's wet, because it's going to take it right back off super easily. Once it dries, it's a little more difficult to sand back off. And you can just keep sanding, so if it still just looks too heavy for you in the end, just keep taking the sanding block to it while it's wet. But see, it just practically erases it right back off. So you don't have to panic if it comes out looking too heavy, because this sanding block is going to do a fabulous job of getting most of it right back off. And if you do like I did and just made that little swirl, you just take a little bit more glaze right back over it, sand it back down again, and it fixes mistakes. So, I mean, you truly cannot mess up this finish at all. And then something else I like to do is right along these edges right here. I'll just take this and just rub this along the edges. Gives a really cool look to that as well. And see, as you can see, this one's a little heavier than the other side, but if in person it also looks much lighter than the video depicts. And then you can also just keep taking this sanding block. See? It just keeps coming off. And you can just sand and sand and sand until it's as light as you want it. Very easy. I mean, I don't know how I ever looked before this glaze, because this is just the coolest thing I've ever seen. And if y'all have any other questions, don't hesitate to message me, and I can make more videos. I'm not the best at videos, so I apologize if this appeared a little bit difficult or hard to see. But yeah, if you have any questions, message me. Let me know and I'll help you guys out. Something else I wanted to show too while I had this brush is after I've applied it really heavy, I like to use it when there's only a little bit left. I don't re-dip it back in the can. I just leave it as it is. And it will, if you brush really lightly, it tends to start leaving these little, just little bit of, I'm not sure if you can tell, but with the last little bit of glaze that's left on there, it'll give you that light touch of black. Let's see if we can get it right in here. See? Very lightly. It's basically dry brushing. It's when you just dip it in there and you barely dip the brush into the glaze, and then you wipe most of it off so that it's just, there's a very light coat being applied to your piece. So you just take the brush, and as you can tell, it helps because it just, that way you're not overdoing it. So as you can tell, it's leaving just a little bit, which is what I want. And that's what I did for the rest of these sections right here. And again, that sanding block, I know it's kind of hard to hear in the last section of the video, but the sanding block is great because no matter if you apply it too heavy, you apply it too lightly, that sanding block is like an eraser. And what it's going to do is if you keep rubbing the sanding block against that finish, it's just going to keep taking it off. So you don't have to worry about getting too much on there. You're panicking because you're just like, oh, this is much more black than I thought it was going to be. Because that sanding block is just going to wipe it right back off. For these, I applied these sections right here heavy, and then I just went back with the sanding block and buffed it back out. And again, when you have a little bit of these sections, like where some of the glaze came off a little too much, just take this brush when it's, you know, only got a little bit left on it, and just fill in those spots. And then again, it's just all about brushing and sanding until you get the look that you want. But of course, I'm totally open to more videos, more questions, and I hope this kind of helped. If for any reason it didn't, or you had a hard time hearing me, just let me know. I'll send photos if needed of the products I use, and I can try to get a little bit better video. Maybe somebody can help record me while I do it. But thanks for showing so much interest in the bed. I had no idea that it would get this much attention, but I'm excited, and I'm really glad I can help y'all out in getting this really cool Barnwood finish. So yeah, message me, check me out. Thank you. I love this dry brushing technique when there's only a tiny bit of the glaze left, because it gives you that really light look. It's not as heavy as this one. You can see the difference. It's much more forgiving if you apply it lightly like this. And again, this is just barely dipping the brush in the glaze, wiping it off on a cloth, and only allowing the brush to have a little bit of the glaze on and just rubbing back and forth. Just brush it back and forth against the bed. Pretty neat. Super easy. Super, super easy.